So, level 5, class 9. Today we did timings on the first 2 pages of the packet. So, if you get a chance to run our front page, the picture this page, and the other picture this page, all of 9 questions with a timer, that would be great. I would love to see how long those are taking. We're aiming for getting that first page done completely under 2 minutes is the big goal. We'll do some hands-on and on questions towards the end, but the big thing that we worked on today that was a new concept was called the elevator going up, skipping a floor. So an elevator ride would be very, very tedious if you had to stop at every single floor on the elevator. So sometimes elevator only stops every now and then. That's this exercise. Instead of adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 every floor, we're only going to add the odd numbers. So we're going to add 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, and then continue on 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, 27, 29, and so on our elevator ride. We'll work through these together, and then I'll leave you to practice it at home. We'll do some more of it in class next week, and a little bit later we'll do the elevators going down with skipping a floor. So going up is a little bit easier than going down. We start with our 1 plus a 3, we can add it direct, plus a 5, also direct, adding a 7, we see we need to use our dime exchange, we can record our answer. Adding a 9, also a dime exchange. 11, we have direct. 13, also direct. And then 15, we add our 10, we add our 5, and we're at 64. Adding 17, add a 10, and then our dime exchange, we're at 81. Adding 19, 10, and we add our 9 using a dime exchange, and we end up with 100. 100 is one of our check-in points. When we get to 19, if we're at 100, we know that we're on target. That's a good thing. We're going to, actually, let me extend this just a little bit more, I think. Since we did that first part, 31, 32, whoops, not 32, 33, 35, 37, 39, and that's where our elevator will stop today. We're at 100 on our abacus, and we want to add 21. It's a nice direct number. 23, 144. Now we can add a 25, 25, 159. Adding our 27, 27. We see a 195. Adding a 29, we add our 20, we add our 9, we can record our answer. Adding a 31, 31 to 56. We add a 33 to 89. We add a 35, 35, 324. We add a 37, 37, 361. And then we add a 39, a 30, and then our 9 has us adding a dime and taking away 1. And so we end up with 400 at the end of 39. That's another nice check-in point. We actually go up on our exercise, you'll see, a few more steps. We go up all the way to 59, which should bring you to 900. I trust that you're going to get there, so I'm going to leave you to work on the last rungs of the ladder or steps of our flights of our elevator. to wrap that up on your own. And I'm going to clear my abacus. And we'll take another look in our packet. We did do fast numbers today in class. We have some tick, tick, tick practice of our double digits. So please take some time with these. If you're not getting a correct answer, go ahead and work it with your answer sheet in front of you. Work 5, check it. Work another 5, check it. Just the repetition is what's going to get you faster. The other activity that we had today was our elevator going down, skipping a floor. This one's a lot trickier because I think subtraction can be harder, and just keeping track of those odd numbers as we move backwards just seemed harder to everyone in class and to me. So we're going to do a little bit of this. We're going to start with 900. I'm going to write down my floors so that they look like our answer sheet here. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, and we will go all the way 31, 33, 35, 37, 39. So again, I'll work through those two columns with you, and I'll leave the last bit of our elevator ride for you to work on at home. So we have a 900 and we want to subtract 1. We have to go all the way over to our hundreds place to get our 10 for our dime exchange. But then we get our answer of 899. We can subtract 3 direct, 896. We can subtract 5 direct, minus a 7. We're going to take away a 7 and add our 3. So we get 884. Minus a 9, take away a dime, and we're doing a 9 exchange. So we've got 875 minus an 11. So we have a dime taken away and then our nickel exchange there to get us to 864. Minus 13 is direct. Minus 15, we take away our 10. We take away our 5. We need to use our dime exchange, and we get an answer of 836. Minus 17, minus a 10. Take away a dime and add back our partner, so we're at 819, which is nice because then our final in that row is a direct minus 19. And it brings us to 800. And you'll see that's where we are at the start of our next elevator ride. So we're going to continue downward on our elevator. We've got 800. We're going to subtract 21. We're subtracting a 20. So our dime partner is 8. And then minus a 1. There's our dime partner. And we get 779. Minus a 23. 756. Minus a 25. We had a nickel exchange and a direct, and we get 731. Minus our 27, 27, brings us to 204. Minus a 29. Again, we're doing a dime exchange on that hundreds and tens rod, and so we've got our partner for 2 is 8, and then minus 9 for using a 9, and that brings us to 670. Oops, I think this is supposed to be down. Let me back up a step. That was silly. I wrote a 2 instead of a 7. So we're at 704. I'm backing up a step because I could not tell if this bead was supposed to be down. And sometimes that happens. We get off track. So 704 minus 29. Again, I'm taking away my 20, and now I go to take away my 9. There we go. Is supposed to be down for my 9 exchange. So my answer is now 675 minus a 31, minus 30, minus 1. I'm at 644, minus a 33, is 611 minus a 35. I'm now taking away a 30, and so I need to make sure that I'm using my partner of 7, and then minus 5, and I get 576, minus a 37, minus a 30, minus a 7, and I'm at 539, which is a good sign because I take away my 39, I'm left at a 500, and if we look, that's exactly where we start our next elevator ride. I'll let you continue that one at home. If there are questions about our elevator skip a floor, feel free to email me, but I think it's just a lot of practice on that one. For now, we're filling in the steps in between. We will get to a point where we're only filling in at the tens, just as we get more comfortable with it. We'll do a little hands-on and on-on. We have a memory game. There is a multiplication chart to practice, some 9 practice, and the last thing I wanted to go over today is some multiplication practice. We have 4-digit by single-digit problems today. And the big thing that I was noticing in people's homework when looking at those is that it's really easy to not start on the right rod. And that's what we want to look at today. So I'm going to set up my beads, make sure that these are on the right rods. The smiley face on my abacus marks my ones rod, so my next one over is my thousands place. So over here I'd have my 10,000s, here I'd have my 100,000s. It looks a little bit different on your smaller abacus just because you have more rods than on the teacher abacus. I'm going to go ahead and make my 5,412 because that's the number I'm multiplying by. It's my bigger number. And then if I had extra rods, I would make my 9 at the other end just to keep track of what I'm multiplying. On this abacus, it actually starts to run into the problem, so I'm not going to build it. But you can, and it's a good habit to get into for when we start doing bigger numbers times 2-digit numbers. For now, we have our 5,412, and I look, my farthest place to the left is my thousands place. So that's where I'm going to want to start solving my problem. So I find my thousands place, and I multiply. 5 times 9 is 45. 45 doesn't fit on here, so I need to move over to the left to add my 40 and my 5. And now I'm moving over a rod to my hundreds place. I can remove my 5,000 because I've already used it, and now I'm multiplying my 400 times 9, or 4 times 9 is 36. 36 doesn't all fit on my hundreds rod. I need to put my 3 here and my 6 here. And then I can move over to my tens rod. My tens rod, I've got, whoops, I'm done with my hundreds. I'm now on my tens rod. My tens rod shows me a 10 times 9. So 1 times 9 is 90. It all fits on that rod. So there's no moving, there's no adding or subtract or adding to a different rod. I have my 9. I can take away my 10 and move to my last step. 2 times 9. 2 times 9 is 18. I go to build my 18. I want to put my 1 on this rod. It doesn't fit. So I'm going to add my 10, take away its partner, and then build my 8 on this rod. I now have my answer. I worked through all of the rods that I needed to, thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones, and I have an answer that is 48,700, nothing on our tens rod, and an 8 on my ones rod. 48,708. If I'm feeling pretty good about my multiplication, I can just do some multiplication in my head and see if this answer makes sense. 5,000 times 9 is about, or is 45,000, which means my answer should be about 45,000. it's a little bit more. And if I think about it, it makes sense because I had more here. I had a 400 times a 9, which made 3,600. I had a 10 times a 9, that made 90. And I had a 2 times a 9, that made 18. And if I added those all up, I would get my answer of 45,708. It's a nice way of checking that we were on the right rod. When we don't get the right rod, we often end up with a number that looks a little like this. Sometimes these will get moved over. If I look at this and I look at my starting point, I can tell that this number wouldn't make sense. If I'm multiplying, my answer is always going to get bigger if I'm multiplying times a whole number like this. And so I know that this has to be wrong, and I can start over again and take a look at where I went wrong. We're going to do one more practice multiplication problem, and then I want to go ahead and do some hands-on and on questions, just a few today, and that will be our lesson. So one more good practice problem. Trying to find, here's a good one. 5,208 times 5. So again, I can go ahead and build my 5,208 up here. I'm going to start over here on my thousands place because that's where I'm multiplying. 5 times 5 gives me 25. I want to build it in my thousands, but it doesn't fit. I need to move over a space and make my 25. And then I want to move to my hundreds rod. Oops, thousands are done, move to my hundreds rod. 200 times 5. If I multiply 2 times 5, I get a 10. My 10 is built 10 and a 0, and then I can move over to my tens rod. My tens rod is actually 0 times 5. 0 groups of 5, or 5 groups of 0, gives me 0. So this rod stays empty, and I move over one more spot. 8 times 5 is 40. So I go to build my 40. My 4 goes one space over. My 0 is on my ones rod. And there I have my answer. I've worked through all of my rods. So my answer, when I read it, is 26,000, 0, 4, 0. And I can double check by doing those partial products. 5,000 times 5 is 25,000. 200 times 5 is 1,000. 0 times 5 is 0. And 8 times 5 is 40. I add it all up. My answer checks out.